back to Cooking with Immediatos with Tony and Jennifer. We're back at Willey Farms again today. We got three or four different dishes we're going to do for you today for the fall season. Jennifer's going to lead us off and tell us exactly what we're going to start with today.
Okay, well today we're going to do a spaghetti squash with our marinara sauce and some sausage that we have cooked up over there. We're also going to do an orange fleshed honeydew wrapped with prosciutto, thinly sliced.
Drizzle with some balsamic glaze. Killer, one of my favorites.
Appetizer, or you can use it as for dessert. So good. And then we're going to do an arugula apple walnut salad with a white wine citrus dressing. Yum, yum, yum.
Topped with some feta cheese and some walnuts. Like I said, all about being fallish. I'm going to start off our session today with our spaghetti squash, because these guys here, a lot of people get a little confused with spaghetti squash because you look at it and it's like, well, what do I do with it? This is one of these neat vegetables you cut in half, you put in the oven, you roast, and then 45 minutes later, you scrape it out, as you'll see, and it's like an imaginary spaghetti. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half, drizzle it with some olive oil, salt, and pepper to get us started. They are a little tough, so you got to be a little careful when you cut them so you don't chop off a finger.
Which I do all the time.
That's why I'm cutting it and not Jennifer. So as you see, it does have, it's like a pumpkin. So I mean, it has the seeds and all that good stuff. So what I like to do is just take your knife or a spoon and kind of just carve that out. I'm going to drop this into our little container here.
I couldn't believe when he made it how much it tastes like pasta. It's crazy.
For everybody that can't have carbs, I mean, this is a great alternative, you know, gluten-free, all those type of things. I mean, it kind of works out perfect because technically it's a vegetable. So, I mean, you don't have all that wheat in it.
And you can sneak it in there and your kids won't even know.
So like I said, I'm going to drizzle this with some olive oil. Wow, you got that cork in there good, don't you?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's Nicola. Nicola put those in there.
Holy cow. All right. Somebody got a pair of pliers? So we're going to drizzle that. I always like to keep them right side up, so cut side up, only because if you turn them down and they cook and you leave them in there a little bit too long, it'll kind of over steam and you might not get that crunchiness that you like. I always like to use some sea salt and then fresh pepper, because you always get good flavor out of that versus already. So what we're going to do, this is going to go into the back and roast for about 45 minutes at 375, and then we'll pull it out and then I'll show you the next step from that. Jennifer's going to start on our melon wrapped with prosciutto, and then we'll go to the next step.
Okay, so I already took the skins off of the melon, got it ready. So we're cutting it here. Going to get some of the seeds out of here.
A lot of people use spoons, same thing like with the spaghetti squash. I always like to use my finger because you can kind of just wrap it around and it kind of pulls everything out, and then you're not damaging the flesh and the melon itself.
I'm just going to kind of do little spheres with it. Cut it like so. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason. You can cut it however you want to do it. We're going to plate this up for all of our guests here today so they can try it. So I'm going to do it a little bit on a smaller scale.
That's fine.
So we can get more out of our melon.
This is one of these great things. Now, I went to the deli before we started and I had them, you always want to get your prosciutto cut really thin, because the thicker it is, sometimes it gets a little chewy. But with this sweetness of the melon and then the saltiness of the prosciutto, it's actually one of my favorites.
Got a little issue
so you just take it and just wrap it around. No right way, no wrong way. And then just lay them in your pan. And then when you're all finished, we'll drape that with a balsamic glaze. And then again, I forgot my balsamic glaze, so Susan actually whipped me up some balsamic glaze back here. She's phenomenal. She does all kinds of crazy dishes and pot pies and all those fun things. It's really fun. We got a good friendly relationship down here, the Immediatos and the Willeys.
I could live here, seriously. I'm here all the time.
You basically do.
I mean, everything that we're making here too today, you pretty much can get everything here to create this dish for your guests or just, you know, a family dinner.
It's one of these things that's real easy. And with the spaghetti squash, it's something you can do and do the day ahead and then actually keep it in the fridge and then pull it back out and kind of reheat it with your sauce. So you'll see how that'll all work out.
And we're gonna just wrapping them here.
Also, we're going to do broccoli rabe. Broccoli rabe is one of my most favorite vegetables to cook. Now, a lot of people get a little nervous. Some people call it rappappini. Broccoli rabe can be very bitter at times. I always tell everybody with broccoli rabe, a lot of people just take it and saute it right from the get-go. You have to blanch it. I like to blanch it either water. If you have some chicken stock, it's always good. So what I did was I have some chicken stock here. You can get the chicken stock right off the counter. I brought this from the shop. So I'm going to put some of that chicken stock in the bottom of my pan. And then I'm going to bring up my broccoli rabe. You looking for the glaze?
Well, yeah.
There's our glaze. So this is what you'll see. It kind of looks a little funny. I don't know. You can see as you get down, there's a little broccoli heads inside. This is actually is a weed that they basically picked and they started. It's almost like a dandelion. So if you see in here, we got some
Like
flowering broccoli rabe. This here, a lot of people will get this at the restaurant. Some will take it and also go with chicken or sausage and eat it as a meal in itself. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to cut our bottom end off. I like to leave it full, like so, and then I just pull it apart. Get my lid.
Oh my
Do
goodness.
the same thing with the other head. Now this is the tricky part. I'm going to blanch this.
I'm
Now-
making a mess.
I always make a mess.
No, I said I'm making a mess.
That's always that's how we do it though. It's all right. What I don't have a lid, but normally I would cover this with a lid so that it would keep all that and steam it quicker. So I'm going to actually, let's see. There we go. I'm going to let that sit for a little bit and let that steam.
And while he's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and start to make this arugula salad. Super easy when you have no time. You can come here. They already have it in the package, ready to go, arugula lettuce. You can do spinach lettuce if you like spinach better. It just depends on, you know, what you want to do. Arugula has a little bit more of a bitter taste to it, so that's why we're pairing it with the apples. It complements itself with the apples. The apples are sweet. These are called Golden Supreme apples. Apples are really in bloom right now in October. I mean, this is apple season, so this is just a different way you can eat apples besides dipping them in caramel, which is also really good too. But this is probably a little healthier for you. So we're just going to go ahead and take the arugula.
This is a fun salad too to do for like the family, this and that. And there's another thing you can do and prep and get your apples sliced ahead of time. But a lot of people slice their apples and then they'll turn brown. So what you want to do with your apples, if you're not going to eat it right away, is definitely get some apple juice, pineapple juice, and let them soak. So I mean, if you're having a dinner party and you want to use those, definitely let them soak for about as long as you want. It's not going to hurt them, and it's going to keep them from turning. Because as you know, you cut your apples for your kids, all of a sudden, bang, they're brown. I'm not eating that. Same type of thing.
Well, nobody wants a brown apple, let's face it. So you're just gonna get your apple. Obviously, you're gonna make sure you don't wanna get the seeds in there because seeds are bad. We're just gonna keep going around and lining them up around the salad, like so. He's gonna finish showing the apple for me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some feta cheese.
It seems like all the time.
Feta cheese here. You can use goat cheese too. Goat cheese and spinach is awesome together, but we decided to go with feta today. My favorite cheeses are feta cheese and goat cheese, so can't get enough of it. I tell him I'm going to get myself a goat and just make me cheese all the time.
And then they cut my grass for me too, so it's hey, best of both worlds, right?
The cheese goes really well with the apple, the feta cheese, and the goat cheese too. It's just like that salty sweetness you can't get enough of. And then what we have here, we have a white wine citrus dressing that we make at Immediato's Bistro, but you can also get anything like a raspberry vinaigrette or a citrus vinaigrette here. You can get that here, or you know, if you want to try and create your own, they have recipes that you can make all over the place for dressings. So what you want to do, we have a couple people that can't have nuts here, so I chose walnuts because I love walnuts. And but you could use any type of a nut. Almonds are really good for you. But we're only going to do half today because we have some people with some nut allergies. So what we're going to do is just going to sprinkle them on.
The nuts kind of in place also the crouton aspect of a salad. To give you that crunchiness and something a little bit more healthier, so you still have that crunch in your salad versus, you know, all the carbs from the.
This. I don't know. He had a hard time getting the other one.
Let me get that one too.
Yeah, my hands.
Thanks to Nicola. You know, I wasn't traveling on a plane, but you would have thought she was shipping this across the country.
When you have arugula lettuce, you definitely want to do something with a sweetness to it, and this dressing has definitely got a sweetness to it. So you're just going to kind of drizzle that on there. Isn't it pretty? I love it. So good. Just kind of put a little bit on there because it's seep into the bottom. You want to get it on the lettuce, and it will not make it soggy. You'll be fine. And then your salad is ready to go. It's good to go. These don't fit back in either.
That's all right. Once they're out, leave them out. That's a job in itself.
Now we do have some wine here today. We chose a California red wine, which is a blend of 3 different grapes. It's kind of red wine with a little bit of sweetness to it. So that's going to pair with the salad really well. Also the cantaloupe with the balsamic glaze on it. But you can drink whatever you'd like to drink with it. I like California reds myself, so
that's funny.
I'm going to have what I want. So
what we're going to do is I'm going to let this finish blanching, okay? We're going to take a commercial. They're going to give you a nice little preview of the store. When we come back, we'll finish up the broccoli rabe, and then we'll get right back into our spaghetti squash with our marinara, sausage, and meatballs. We'll see you when we come back.
Hi, down here at Willey Farms. I'm located on Route 13. Everybody should know where that's at, and everybody that doesn't stop here needs to start stopping here because this guy stops here nearly daily. Hi, Tony. How are you?
I'm well, Tim. How are you? Good to see you again.
And when you talk about Tony, of course, cooking with the Immediatos, and that takes place at your where?
Our bistro on Main Street in Middletown, 299. Me and my wife shop here probably, I'd say, 5, maybe 6 days out of the week. I get all of our fresh produce from here. If you look over here, Chris actually grew all these out in his fields, and we use these for different things in applications in the bistro and doing different, you know, eggplant Napoleons to the eggplant parms. I mean, you come here, you kind of get lost because there's so much to choose from.
And when you're talking about that, I'm looking at the ripe tomatoes, you know, local grown vine tomatoes right here, and look at the size of these babies this year. And then not only mention the cooking stuff and everything, but I want people to understand produce, man. When you talk about that, you got to talk about your fruits and all that. I mean, holy cow.
It's a one-stop shop. I mean, you have, like I said, you can build your sandwiches, your vegetables, your fruits. I mean, you look around here, you kind of get a little overwhelmed because there's so much, but that's what makes it creative, because you can just start grabbing different things and create your own dishes, beans if it's fruit or vegetables.
Yeah, and it's all here. Once again, this is Willey Farms located on Route 13. I don't care what you're looking for. If you're looking for vegetables, fruits, and produce, it's all here. Not to forget about the deli and, of course, all the plants and everything else. But I want to come down here, Tony, because I love this area down here.
It's great. I mean, you can get a little bit of everything depending on the season. There's all kinds of decor we use for the restaurant, even the house. I mean, you got everything from candles to fixtures to
very seasonal too. They set it all up, not to mention the plants and all that and everything else. Thank you for your time down here.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, Willey's Farms, once again, located on Route 13. Be sure and visit it. It's got everything. Plants, we forgot about the plants. Until next time.
All right, welcome back. Here we go. As you can see, our broccoli rabe we have blanched. As my wife said, I didn't give you guys a specific time. Well, everything's always varied. So you put your broccoli rabe in, you blanch it. Now when I blanch this, basically what it does, it pulls out all that bitterness, 9 times out of 10. So I'm gonna set this over here in the bowl, and then I'm gonna drain off all that extra fluid that came out. And then, you know, if you've watched this show before, there's about 3 ingredients that I love to use. And what's the first one? Garlic. What's the second? Crushed hot peppers.
The garlic really makes it, I think.
And what's the third? The olive oil.
Well,
You don't use the
cheese.
olive oil. The olive oil, everything's gonna stick. Do a cheese. I told you not to put them back in.
I didn't want it to
On the
spill.
highway again. All right, so basically, you're gonna coat that bottom of that pan again. All right, get your bottom of your pan coated. You got our heat's on high. Get that nice and warm. Garlic, if you're making one head at home, I would probably say 3 cloves, 3 nice cloves of garlic. Everybody's like, man, that's a lot. But what that garlic does, it counteracts the bitterness. And when it's cooked, you can't really taste it. Now see, I did 2 whole heads. And you see, as big as they were when they went in to what they look like now.
We do have people that come into the bistro just
From
to
all
get our
over.
broccoli rabe.
We just actually had somebody come in from where? Montreal?
No, it was Canada, and their son was a chef.
Hey, we can tell you
It
didn't
wasn't
pass history.
It wasn't Montreal though. It was Vancouver.
Vancouver, Montreal. And then
I
look.
wasn't good at geography. I'm sorry.
We know. It's all right. The crushed hot.
They loved it. They were like, it's the best broccoli rabe that we had, and their son was a chef. So that's a really nice compliment when you have a son that's a chef, and they come in and they're telling you that their broccoli rabe is really good.
All right, so then what this
I'm
is,
smarter than you.
hey, I didn't say you weren't. I just cook better, that's all. We're gonna let that saute up, and that's gonna cook all that flavor of our peppers, our garlic, olive oil. And once you see everything, your garlic start to get translucent and go from white to kind of clear and beige, you're 9 times out of 10 almost ready. And then what I do is I hit it with a little bit of chicken stock again, just to kind of take that zing right out of it. And then when we plate it, you top it off with some grated cheese, and then it's that bread and wine. I mean, you couldn't ask for much more. But at this point right here, if you were going to do, you could do your sausage, you could add chicken. I mean, this is one of these things you can kind of put any type of protein, shrimp, anything you want, you can add to this. Or you can just leave it as a side dish for any meal that you do.
And that's another thing too, with the salad that we made, you could totally do a chicken breast, use a little bit of orange juice, saute it in a pan with garlic and olive oil, put your chicken on top of there, and you have a whole meal out of that salad. If you just wanted to do just salad with some chicken, because if you do it in the orange juice, garlic and olive oil, that would complement that too.
Would.
So you don't always have to do the big meal. That's what I tell my kids. We're not having a big meal tonight. We're doing a little meal tonight.
All right, so I'm going to let that finish sauteing up. I got my heat turned down a little bit. We're going to let that cook. I'm going to bring up our spaghetti squash. Now you see how our ends look. So when you pull that out of your oven, it's going to look like that. And everybody goes, well, what's that? That doesn't look
This
like
is the
spaghetti
coolest
squash.
thing ever, so make sure you zoom in on it.
Now what I did was I did take one, and I started already. So now I'm going to set that there, and I'm going to move this.
I'll hold it.
Jennifer's holding that. 9 times out of 10, you take a fork. I don't have a real fork. I only have this plastic fork. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of my tongs. See how you start to pull that, and it gives you that whole spaghetti look?
Is that the coolest thing you've ever seen? I love it.
And because you've roasted it, the whole skins of the spaghetti squash stay nice and...
It looks like angel hair pasta, doesn't it?
Now you think, I mean, for a single family, if it's a large butternut squash, you probably would be almost good with just one. I mean, you figure that's one right there. I'm going to do 2 and show you exactly what we get out of it.
We actually had our boys try it last night. The one son, he's not a fan of vegetables, and he said, what's wrong with this pasta?
We didn't tell him what it was, and he said, oh, it's squash. He goes, oh, I don't like squash. I'm like, well, you swallowed it, so you had to have liked it. The other one said, Dad, did you shred carrots? I'm like, nah, they're not carrots, but The sauce made it look like it because it was pink. We did a blush, which I'm going to do again today. But I mean, look at that. I mean, to the naked eye, especially on TV, if I wasn't doing this in front of you and I just poured the sauce over it, you'd think it was spaghetti. But see, I mean, it's very easy. By the time you got your sauce hot and all your proteins cooked and whatever else you're going to add to it, you're good to go. I'm going to set this over to the side here. I'm going to bring up my other bowl. Go back to our broccoli rabe. Now you see that? See how the garlic's cooked down and it's not as bright white as it was. It's kind of more beige.
We need smell-o-vision.
Oh, if you could smell this right now. It does to me. Some people will then take, at this point, and hit it with a little bit of white wine. I don't do that because I like the cheese flavor to that. We did enough of the chicken stock so you got all those natural salts into it. So here we go. I'm going to shut that one down. In my platter. Set that there. Now, take your cheese. Just toss your cheese right over the top. That dish is done.
So good with a big hunk of Italian bread.
That's
Dip
my
it in
favorite.
there.
I create a lot of dishes with broccoli rabe, and they're awesome.
Normally
I'm going to bring my sauce up here. As you can see in my sauce, I have some meatballs. I also have some sausage. All right. Sometimes it's just a basic red marinara. It can be a little plain and So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it into a blush. Everybody likes a little bit of cream and a little bit of cheese. Heavy cream I love. It just gives a nice pink flavor and color to your red sauce. You see how that just changed? I mean, we went from red to kind of like a pinkish orange. But where all that good flavor comes from is the cheese. So here we go again. Cheese is one of those things I like to just put as much as I can in because it just gives a good flavor. Some people get scared. I don't get scared too much. But it's food. You can always fix it. Except for salt. Then you need potatoes. So there we go. Look at that. That's nice and cheesy. It's got great flavor. Now, what you could do to this, if you wanted to give it a little bit more of a special zing, you could add Marsala wine or sherry. Your sherry and your Marsala are about the same, so it kind of works out the same way. All right, let me see. I'm going to set this over here for a second. I'm going to bring my spaghetti squash back up. Now, you see what I did? I pulled that out. Now I want to take this sauce after it gets nice and hot, and then I'm going to pour it right over top. And all of our guests get to try all these great creations.
And see, it sits well too.
And if you're a vegetarian and you don't want any meat proteins, you could also use a portobello mushroom or some type of bean and add that to this and make it, and then you got a true vegan dish. So I mean,
or you could do garlic aioli.
Yeah, and that's a big true Italian
Just olive oil and garlic,
dish.
a little bit of cheese, or if you can't do the cheese.
I eat a whole bunch of garlic. Garlic's my best friend. That's why I got garlic tattooed right here. They always say I smell like garlic, so what the heck? I might as well have a scratch and sniff, right? All right, here we go. Watch yourself. I don't want you to get burnt.
I know, but I don't want it to fall.
It's not going to fall.
I'm getting nervous. I can't wait for everybody to try this because it's so good.
Now look, here we go. I'm going to pull it through. Now you tell me, does that not look like real pasta?
It does.
The only way you don't know it is when you taste it.
See, I love vegetables.
But to me, I love al dente pasta and I love al dente vegetables. So when I eat this, it reminds me exactly of how I eat everything I have. So I'm going to set this to the side. We're going to get everything ready, and then everybody that's here, feel free to come on up, and we're going to give you guys samples. Here we are. Welcome back. Our guests are getting samples. Now you don't have to get it all in one shot. You can take one and come back and get another. Oh, well, if you're hungry, then go ahead. Everybody knows Mrs. Willey, right? Here she is again. When you're at Willey Farms, there's Mrs. Willey. Or Mom Willey, right? 37 years.
Yeah, Mom Willey.
Mom Willey.
Right. Thank you. Tells you how old I am.
Well, you have a great establishment.
It's
I
not
love
about being
it.
old. It's like wine. The older the wine is, the better it is. Right? All right. We got all types of good stuff here, so don't be afraid. I know this is going to be your favorite here.
I know, I can't wait.
Who has the nut allergies? You have the nut allergies.
I'm not gonna try it.
Oh, you have to try it. Yeah, I know all about the nut allergies.
Thank you.
She
Trust
lives
me.
with the nut.
I'm a freak about the nut thing because
Right,
I don't
Dawn?
want anybody getting sick.
You can vouch for that. Come eat. Come eat.
What are they putting that in?
Come eat. Do you want a meatball?
Yeah, that too. And it makes it pink when you put the milk.
The cream, yeah. And I tell you what, the cheese, it gives it a great flavor. How about for you, sir? It's the same thing?
Would you happen to know Bruce Wetterow?
I may, yes. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people more by faces than
The
names.
chef was at the Granary, the Kitty Night House, and now he's up at the
There's forks right there.
Jacobs Canal House.
I probably know him. I don't know him personally, but I probably know him to see him.
Thank you.
We got some spaghetti squash with meatballs and
Don't worry, the
sausage,
wine
and I
won't
got
get
broccoli
drunk.
rabe. Want a little bit of both?
Look down.
We know that.
Do you want
Don't
some
be
salad?
scared. There's that. And there's plenty to go around, so come back for more.
Did you want some salad?
No, I'm alright.
Okay.
I'm alright in the greens.
Yeah, I gave him enough on that plate. Nate, you want to try my broccoli rabe?
Yeah.
Are we still
There you
filming?
go, buddy. You
Are we
got it.
still filming?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Chris, did you get any other dinner, or are you just taking? Are you going on your vegetable diet? Sarah's watching. But watching what you're eating.
and they have a great nut selection here at Willey's as well too. So
There's the number one nut.
I really didn't plan that. I swear. I did not.
Hey, you know me. I gotta go right along with it.
I don't want to waste the plate.
No worries.
Oh.
What you like? A little bit of both?
A little each, please.
You want sausage or a meatball?
What do you think of the salad? Do you like it?
There you go.
Who tried the cantaloupe? Good.
All right.
And I don't like cantaloupe.
Oh, see. Well, actually,
see-
it wasn't cantaloupe. I'm sorry. Orange
Well-
fresh honeydew. You can use cantaloupe too.
Would you like some broccoli rabe? Want to try a little bit?
Yes, I will. Every time I see it, the squash cooked on, they do say turn it down, even on Rachel Ray's show, so I'm glad to know that.
I don't like to turn it down, like I said, because if you leave it in there too long, it's going to steam a little bit more. Now, if you're doing it fast and you want to do it, then turn it down. I like to turn it up because in that olive oil and salt and pepper cook down into it, because think about it, if it's turned down, you can't cook it in.
We got one more
You know what I
apple
mean? So you
here.
can kind of infuse it with different flavors. You want a meatball, honey?
What does everyone think of the spaghetti squash?
You got it.
Oh, you have to try it. It's good, isn't it? Isn't
Broccoli
that
rabe is
neat?
my favorite. I mean, truly my favorite. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, but stick to us. Give us a call at our number, because the next one, our next show we have will be at our shop, and we're going to do more of a wine tasting and all that. We're probably going to be about $20 to $25 a person, so call and make your reservations. The exact date is not set, but it will probably be, I'd say, mid-October, and then we'll go from there. So we'll hope to see you at the bistro. Again, my table is your table at Willey Farms. See you next time. Chin chin.